Hey guys, happy snowy weekend. Got my snowflake shirt on since it snowed. I even had to break out my winter boots today because it was so cold. I hope you guys have had a wonderful snowy weekend and have gotten to get out and enjoy the little bit that we had. Today we're going to talk a little bit more about dividing fractions. I know you guys might have watched a video on it on Thursday or Friday when I wasn't there. So I want to talk a little bit more about it today and get into more about the specifics. There's two things that you need to know when you divide fractions. The first thing is about the reciprocal, and the second thing is keep, change, change. So the first thing that I want to talk about is the reciprocal, and in order to divide fractions, we have to know how to find the reciprocal of a number. So whenever we do that, we know that if this blue line right here is my fraction bar, I typically have the numerator and I have the denominator. So this is how a fraction's set up. When I find the reciprocal of this fraction, all I've got to do is change them around. My denominator goes on top, my numerator goes on the bottom. When I think about this, I think about doing a handstand because all you're doing is flipping the fraction around. So for me, being a cheerleader and an athlete, if I'm just standing up, something like this, if I'm just standing here, okay, my head's up here, my feet's down here, it's just like a regular fraction. My numerator's the head, and my feet are the denominator. Now, when I go to do a handstand, I flip it. So now my feet are up top and my head's down on the bottom. That's finding the reciprocal of the fraction. So, the next thing that we need to talk about is we need to talk about how to keep, change, change. And this is where we're going to have to find the reciprocal of a fraction. So, for example, if I had the fraction 1/2 divided by 3/1, and I'm going to rewrite that real quick. 1/2 divided by 3/1. I have to keep the first fraction the same. So I'm going to keep 1/2 the same, and I'm going to go ahead and rewrite it so I have the correct problem down here on the bottom. The second thing that I have to do is I have to change my division sign, and I'm going to change it to a multiplication sign. And last but not least, I have to change that second fraction. And this is where I have to find the reciprocal of it. So if I need the reciprocal of 3/1, I know that I have to flip my numerator and denominator around. We can think about the hang loose sign where my thumb's the numerator and my pinky's the denominator. I've got to flip it around. My denominator has to go on top, which is a 1. My numerator has to go on the bottom, which is a 3. So now I just simply have 1/2 times 1/3, and now I'm just going to multiply straight across, just like we've been talking about. So 1 times 1 is 1, and 2 times 3 is 6. So I just simply have the answer 1/6 as a fraction. Okay, let's do one more problem. If I have 1/4 divided by 5/1, I'm going to keep this first fraction the same. My division sign is going to change to a multiplication sign, and then 5/1 is also going to change to 1/5. Now again, I'm going to multiply straight across. I have 1/20 as my answer. Alright, let's look at one that begins with the whole number as a fraction. So if I had that same problem, 5/1 divided by 1/4, and I'm going to write the one that we just did over here to the side So we'll be able to see the difference in the problems. So this one over here is the one that I just did. I'll break my board in half. Right there. This is the one that we just solved. 1/4 divided by 5/1. Kept 1/4 the same. Changed the division sign to a multiplication sign. Changed 5/1 to 1/5. Multiplied straight across and got 1/20. When I go over here, I have to keep that 5/1 the same. I change the division sign to a multiplication sign. And I change 1/4 to 4/1. When I go to multiply straight across, this time I get 20/1, and we all know that 20/1 just simply equals 20. So look at the difference between those two problems. Okay, over here I got 1/20, and over here I got 20/1. Okay, something to think about as you're looking at these different problems that you're dividing. What makes one get a whole number and what makes the other one get a fractional piece? Okay, so think about that. Make sure that you have all the notes just from today in your notebook. You did not have to take notes on this. Pause it if you didn't want to. So go ahead now, look at your early finishers if you finish this early, and then go ahead and move on. Thanks. If you have any questions, make sure that you ask.